Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and today we're going to talk about the 9.7 billion Pokemon cards printed last year. That's 9.7 billion with a B. 14 different languages, 87 different countries and regions. They did a print run for Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, the whole block got a print run. There were more Pokemon cards printed last year than humans on this planet. If that's not enough for you, go back to the beginning in 96 to 2005. You had 13 billion cards printed in that window. That's Base, Jungle, Fossil, Rocket, the Sujimori sets, the Neo era, the e-readers, a little bit of the Gold Stars. That even includes the 90s boom. Now Pokemon's like, yeah, we're doing that in about a year and a half. Less than 2 years, they're doing 13 billion cards. So this 9.7 billion number is an unprecedented supply because of unprecedented demand. Today, this market is just evolved to a level, it's like 4 dimensions. Like, it's an unbelievable, massive market that we're dealing with today. But it's not just the unprecedented demand. The product itself has changed as well. You know, back in the original era, you had the booster box, then the booster pack, and then the card. That was like the evolution line. If they're feeling a little frisky, they're like, yeah, we'll throw a couple of those packs in like a little 2 to 3 pack blister. Where today they got the ETBs, a premium collection, a little side tangent. English Pokemon's great at taking like 8 packs and throwing them in like a 55-inch flat screen TV box. Like, they're really good at wasting a ton of space in their packaging. But the point is there's so many different types of product. You know, not only is the demand different, but I think that type of product really incentivizes people to buy more because you can only get the certain card in the premium collection, or maybe that promo in the ETB, that's the main way you can get it, where back in the day you didn't have that. So not only is there unprecedented demand, I think that type of product really stimulates that demand as well. Also, the demand is just so much more evolved than from what it used to be. Yeah, you still got the kids, you know, buying cars as they appreciate them, but they're not grading them. In fact, I think the Pop Report is the best snapshot for the adult market. You know, most of the kids back then with their cat sitting money, they're just buying the card, throwing it in their Healy shoebox under the bed, where most of the cards graded are definitely the adult side of the hobby, where that is larger than ever. And within that, that's like its own category. And within that demand, yeah, you have the silent majority of collectors. I think that's why Pokemon as an IP has stood the test of time, is because most people are collecting this and just enjoying it. But within that, you do have speculators, you do have people trying to invest, rip, flip, dip, do whatever it is. So this whole category is a thing you can talk about in itself, which we're about to. So if you are one of those adult collectors, which you probably are watching this channel, the number one thing you have to understand with Modern today is its popularity. In fact, if you want to look at like the top 10 attributes of modern Pokemon, the first 9 are popularity. I feel like, I know this is like teasing, but rarity is like a boomer thing of the past. Yeah, there's certain pull rates for cards and things like that, but when you're talking 9.7 billion cards, like, that's the amount of cards out there in the wild today. Like, I know there's a difference between energy cards and alt arts, but that's how many cards were released in 1 year. It's unprecedented. More specifically, if you are trying to speculate and roll the dice on this stuff, you're hoping that that unprecedented demand sustains. Like, that's what you're betting on, because these cards are out there in a way that they weren't before. You know, this quantity is at a level that we've never experienced. It's over 9,000, way more than 9,000. So that's the reality, is that we are over 9 billion now of cards out there. So you got to understand that when you're getting into this, it's primary popularity. And understand that I do and always will mess with Modern. Ever since the beginning, I messed with Modern when it was base set. I'm messing with Modern today when it's a Umbreon. Whatever it is, I'm buying it. It's more about just understanding what you're getting into. And speaking of Umbreon, that's probably the best example to really illustrate this whole investing in popularity idea. Umbreon is one of the best modern cards right now. I think we can all agree it's a safe statement. So you got one of the best cards with the top grade, black label. It's the highest possible grade you can get. And one sold initially for $12,000. Then 3 months later, it got cut in half to $6,000. So this is your best card and best grade situation. And I think within that, there's a lot to unpack. We've gone from big topic to adult market. Now within that, we're unpacking the Umbreon. So when you dissect the Umbreon, I think you're dealing with a card that's insanely popular for good reason. You know, Umbreon's like the new Charizard. The art is really good. It's one of the harder cards to pull, but it's not that difficult to grade. That's the thing that I think a lot of people are realizing. Like, yeah, go look at that Pop Report real quick. Like, there's a lot of 10s. There's a lot more 10s than there were before. You know, if you really want to get into the weeds, when you go through each era, even within each set, there is like an understanding or a difficulty to grade. Like in the WotC era, you had the rough cut sets because they were just trying to get stuff out there to meet that demand. Neo had some of the print line problems. Even in EX era, you had that for some of the reverse holo cards, some centering issues as well. Black and white was just an abomination. That was one of the most frustrating eras to grade cards. But then you started to really see a pivot. And today the card quality is much better. So not only do you have this unprecedented supply, you do have better condition as well. So going back to that Umbreon example, that's why, the black label isn't enough. Like people are trying to scratch that itch, like it's not hard enough. We need a PSA 11, like we need to take it higher because these cards aren't as difficult to grade. So not only do you have more quantity out there, another angle is they are in better condition. So again, going back to the idea about popularity, that is the primary thing you're going after. Not dissing it, just trying to explain, like that is what you are messing with. You're trying to ride that wave. And today that wave is like 4K instantaneous. Like back in the 90s, it was on dial-up. It took time for that wave to move. It took longer for you to do everything back then. So these trends would be a lot slower, where these trends today are just like, there's already been 5 of them since we've been talking. Like, things move so fast today. And I think the idea of popularity that I really want to unpack is that popularity can change. I'm not trying to pump Rarity here or anything like that, but the reality is Rarity doesn't change. Your pull rate, let's just stick with modern. Your pull rate for Umbreon won't be as low as the energy card. But when you really get into that, the reality is this is primarily pushed because of popularity. That's the main motivator here. Something like Charizard, and I think in the case of Umbreon, it's a made man. It's a card that I think will stand the test of time at this point. But the bottom line is popularity can change. If we were doing this video like 20 years ago, my collar would probably be popped with a lot of Dep hair gel, going on here. There'd be a lot of things that were different, going back 5 years or so on. And a lot of the big cards, even from a few years ago, sure, the Charizards have stuck around, but some of the others haven't. In fact, some of those black label Charizards that were hitting 10K back in the day, even 2019, they still haven't come back. You're almost 4 to 5 years out now, and they still haven't hit that price again. So that's just the history lesson that I think everybody should hear, because when you are betting on this unprecedented demand sustaining, historically speaking, it has not happened. Not saying it can't happen, not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying, historically speaking, it hasn't happened yet. So that's what you're getting into. Again, just trying to paint the picture really clearly here of the risk side, because everybody wants to talk about the gains, right? Gains get the clickbait. Gains are what people want to hear. They don't want to hear the Umbreon going to 6K after 12. They just want to hear the 12. So what I'm trying to do here is be a little bit of Buzz Killington and explain the risk side of, getting into popularity. It's just knowing about what you're entering. And again, this is something I'm buying. I've been buying modern when it was vintage. I've been buying modern when it was base set, and I always will be. It's just understanding that I'm keep buying something because of popularity. The first 9 out of 10 reasons are popularity. And one other idea to really drive that point home is that wherever you stand on vintage, however you feel about those old boomer backs, the old back cards, however you feel about it, the reality is vintage has already proven itself and stood the test of time, but more importantly, it's out of print. Where 9.7 billion, that's not an out of print number. That's a very in print number. So the difference in modern is it still is unproven. Certain cards, I think like Umbreon and the big ones, have already proven themselves. But more importantly, a lot of this stuff is still in production. So again, the overall theme here is just talking about what you're getting into, understanding what you're getting into. And I think that's the big general difference there. However you value the boomer back cards or the new back cards, however you value those is up to you. But the reality is those old ones, they're out of print and done. Or these new ones, we might hit 10 billion next year. We might get into, how many digits is that even? How many digits is that in billions? Like, someone tell me, what is this? Are we like 12, 13, 14 digits now? How many zeros are behind that? That 9.7. It's just an insane amount of cards. One other thing here I wanted to say to end it on a nice positive for people, to get off the Buzz Killington beat about, how this is unprecedented demand and how you're betting on it not sustaining. The one thing here at Pokemon that I like is what we're experiencing now is not the result of just like one scenario or one Logan Paul video, right? Because I feel like 2020, everyone's like, oh, that's why it happened. Quarantine, Logan Paul, whatever. Where this is just Pokemon. Like, this is just the market right now. There's a mixture of a lot of things going on. That's why I said in the beginning, it's like a 4-dimensional, like, next evolve stage of what is happening. It's not just one single reason for why we have 9.7 billion cards. It's not just one person's video that's doing that. It's not even just one country doing that. It's not even just China or Japan or whoever. This is everything combined going on, and it's not because of some insane exceptional circumstance. Like, this is just the flow of where we are today. Yeah, Japan's having its boom right now, but I talked about that in the other video, and I explained how you have a sleeping giant situation. And even if that cooled down, okay, we come down from 9 billion to what, 7 billion? Like, that's still an unbelievable number. Like, you're still doing like half of what was done almost 10 years in a year, like more than half that. So this is where we are right now. I think even when you dissect, like, that's the theme of this video, go within a topic, even when you think about that Logan Paul boom or whatever is going on, I think there was more going on there than just that. I think there were people who, again, that silent collector majority, who were coming back into the game. A lot of that noise and what was going on was just a beacon for them to get interested. And I think that's what we're dealing with now, is a very evolved market, very dynamic market. It's moving faster than anyone could keep up with. Everything moves so quick today. And more power to you if you ride that wave. More power to you if you get that Umbreon or whatever it is, whatever card's happening. But this is the world we're in. It's unprecedented, ton of demand, unprecedented supply. There you go. That's what I have on the 9.7 billion Pokemon cards. As usual, guys, you know the deal, and how I feel, and that's pretty much it. Till next time.